So let's talk about this in-season tournament finish. The Lakers won the in-season tournament, and this was amazing. This tournament consisted of basically 7 games for each championship team, for each team which played in the finals. Right? It was, I think, 4 group play games where they basically faced off against the teams that were in their group play teams, which for the Lakers, I think it was the the Jazz, the Blazers, and some other teams like the Grizzlies, which they won against all of them. And then you get 2 games in the tournament style and the final game, which does not count for the regular season, right? So those 2 games, they were the Phoenix game and the Pelicans game that the Lakers played, which in they won both of them, especially that Suns game, which was extremely close to get to the finals. For the Pacers, they also had their group play stage where they won all of the games, and then they faced off against the Titans of the East, Boston and Milwaukee, beating both of them to get to the finals of the tournament. You know, we saw this, and this tournament was amazing, honestly. Now that it's wrapped up, and before I actually talk about the final game, I just want to say that this tournament is exactly what the league expected it to be, and what no one thought that the league was cooking up. This tournament was fun, it was exciting. The courts actually worked, it spiked my attention. I know that a lot of people talk about the injury issues, but I think that the league will fix that, especially coming into next year. They saw everything that was wrong and right with this tournament. But apart from that, like the courts looked amazing in my opinion. I think that it was good having these colored courts because it helped, encapsulate that this was not the regular season. If they would have had just the regular style courts with like one change, then no one would have really noticed. But having these lit up courts, these decorated, these different colors, I think that it really helped the league. As me as a fan, I like watching the teams on these courts. I like the feeling of, that this is a tournament. This is not just a regular game. And honestly, I think that that worked really well. Second, the shortness of the tournament. It lasts about a month or two, and it's just a bunch of regular season games sprinkled into the regular season, so it doesn't really interfere with anything. And how fluid they did it, where even they didn't know what the finals were gonna be, and they still managed to make the schedules make sense around that, which is pretty good. And honestly, I just want to say that the tournament itself was really nice. The fact that they put up cash and the players were excited to win, the fact that this is a pride thing, and the fact that teams actually took this seriously. A big concern for them was like, is the league competitive enough? Because of course you would have had an NBA Cup in like 1992 or like 1986 or 2005. Teams would have been killing each other to win this cup. And I mean that seriously because the league has always kept itself as a man's competitive game, and that's always been the staple of the league. But recently, teams are more all right with just losing for the sake of load management, of not having to play an extra game, of not having. Exactly. So, it's become a thing where it's like, oh, we can lose, this cup and not have to worry and not have to do anything, and it won't hurt us. And in my opinion, that way of thinking is flawed. I think that you should try to win every game. I think that there is a cup, especially when it's an important cup, that the league cares about, and that it's supposed to add fun to the season and add competitiveness to the season. I think it's good for the league to have these types of events, you know, um, and it worked really well. Both the Indiana Pacers, the Lakers, the Bucks, the Celtics all wanted to win this cup. They all really tried, and even in the group stage, like there were clutch games where teams got mad at the losses, and obviously you just digress, but let's face it, these teams wanted to win, and it felt like that through the entire tournament. Apart from all of this, I want to say that the final game was amazing. The final game of this in-season tournament was a blast. It was the LA Lakers, a great defensive team, a great all-around team, going up against the Indiana Pacers, the most scoring team, the fastest playing team in the NBA, which both of these teams have things in common, but we just don't see them. Like, first, they're both teams which are heavily reliant on one side of the ball. I'm sorry, but the Lakers' offense is not that good, just like the Pacers' defense. So they both play off each other very well. The Lakers, really, their defense is what mostly highlights them as a team. And if we're being honest, the Pacers can't defend for anything. So they're complete opposites, right, in that side of the ball. Apart from that, they're both star-led teams. They run through their stars. They're not like a flow-based team. They are LeBron James and Anthony Davis, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, he's the star of that team. And finally, I just want to say that both of these teams, what I noticed is that they actually cared. I saw Tyrese's face after the tournament. You could tell, even though he was dapping up the coaches and stuff, he looked defeated. He wanted to win, which is a great sign. And honestly, when you see your leader, when you see the guy who's supposed to be the number one for your team doing this, right? And when you see him care this much, like LeBron and AD were talking about the money, and we're talking about how it would be a great achievement to win this cup, how Tyrese was talking about how he wanted to win and how well he was displaying on the court, it honestly made for great basketball. The final game was entertaining, and now I will actually talk about that. LeBron has dropped 24 points, 11 rebounds, and I think 5 assists, winning, 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. Anthony Davis, the best player in this game, not in the whole tournament, but in this game, dropped 41 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 assists to basically put the Pacers to sleep. And Austin Reeves, he put up 28 points, scoring 15 in the second quarter, to really seal the game for the Lakers. These three players, the whole, and that was the thing about the game, that the whole Lakers strategy was just force Tyrese to beat us by himself, play amazing defense on him, and then on offense, just go to the paint, right? Like, they have Miles Turner, but AD, with the performance that he has, his whole point was to get everyone in foul trouble. He fouled out Miles Turner. The rest of the guys, they had to be subbing them in and out because they had too many fouls. And it caused the Pacers, a really big, problem with the fact that their offense and their defense wasn't really working. For the Pacers, they had, their whole thing was just play the way that we always play, which is good, but the Lakers were ready defensively for that. Tyrese dropped 20 points and 11 assists. Benedict Mathurin dropped 20 points. Aaron Nesmith dropped 15. Buddy Hield dropped 8. And, everyone just scored a little bit. But honestly, with the Pacers, the biggest thing for them was that the fact that they just couldn't guard Anthony Davis or LeBron James, right? They were, trying, and they were really wanted to, but the whole problem with them and their whole game plan was the fact that even though, yes, it was good, to play the way that you always play because it's gotten you so far in the tournament, it did not look like their team was ever going to be ready to guard those two dudes. And those two dudes, I am talking about LeBron and AD. Because the way that they play, the strength, the veteran leadership that they have, the Lakers took 75 shots inside of the three-point line. They took 13 shots from three and they made 2 of them. But the rest of their shots were inside the three-point line. There were mid-rangers, and they scored 86 points in the paint. Just in the paint, And then Indiana, tried, to play the regular style, but they were just missing basically everything. Tyrese played well. He didn't do that good from three, but he did get to the rim a lot, which was respectable. And guys like Aaron Neesmith, I want to say that honestly actually played well, just regarding the circumstances. But really, it was too much of a beatdown from the Lakers' end to make it make sense. The one thing that I do want to say, and that I do want to point out before I go, is that the players on the Lakers which were guarding Halliburton, the Cam Reddish, the Jared Vanderbilt, Jesus Christ, they did great. I want to end off the video by saying that because it's honestly very good the way that they played. They played amazingly with their style, and they guarded Halliburton up the court, and it was amazing to watch. But I want to say shout out to the Lakers, shout out to LeBron for winning the NBA Cup MVP, and shout out to the league for putting up such an amazing tournament.